The UK is onto its fourth heat wave of the summer. Wildfires are raging across the country. Farmers are talking about how their crops might fail. Scientists are talking about ecological breakdown. And it's going to get hotter. But the question that's on our minds is, will Jeremy Clarkson finally accept climate change? He probably should, given the fact that he's now actually a farmer, a subject that he likes to talk about at length. But now he's complaining that this year has been a very bad year for his farm. It's been a very bad year for all farmers, considering we've had one of the worst droughts on record. I believe it's actually the worst drought since records began. London has experienced a rainless month for the first time in 155 years. It doesn't sound great. I mean, call me an environmentalist maniac, which I'm sure Jeremy Clarkson's fans like to do to people like me in the comments section. But I can't help but feel a bit worried, especially given the fact that there is what we like to call scientific consensus about climate change. So that means scientists agree that climate change is man-made and it is having an effect on our climate. If you can't see that, literally, in the news, the wildfires, the constantly rising temperatures, the record-breaking temperatures each year, then I don't know really what to tell you. People of Jeremy Clarkson's ilk like to say, well, in our day we called it summer. Well, yes, but in your day we weren't consistently breaking records in terms of drought and heat year on year. So obviously one can only wonder how bad things are going to get. But the question on my mind is, how bad is it going to get for someone like Jeremy Clarkson, farm owner, to actually look up and accept, yes, climate change is having an effect on our world and our crops? I can't help but feel that people like him will never accept it. And there are a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, his ego is now attached to climate change denial. So that's a first thing, and humans and their egos are not easily detached. Secondly, there's a lot of money to be made by denying climate change because it's outrageous. And the more obvious climate change gets, the more outrageous climate change denial becomes. And we live in an outrage economy. If you do something like the Tate brothers and you make the most disgusting, outrageous claims and comments about women, then you get a lot of attention. He was once the most Googled man on the planet. And if that's not a depressing fact, then I don't know what is. So there is a lot of attention to be garnered by denying climate change. And in the attention economy, that brings people to your shop window. And then you can sell them on your latest Netflix or Amazon series or whatever it is that Diddly Squat Farm appears on. So for those reasons, I think ego and money are what will continue to drive Jeremy Clarkson to never accept climate change. Him and a handful of others. I say handful because the amount of people who deny climate change is relatively small, probably more than a handful, but still, it's a minority. Only about 11% of the UK population are in full climate change denial. Around 16 to 70% of UK adults do not believe climate change is mainly caused by humans, and about 25% feel that concerns over global warming have been exaggerated. The irony, of course, being that scientists don't tend to exaggerate their claims. They're usually very level-headed because they have to be, as is their scientific discipline. They've got to keep trying to prove themselves wrong, and when they can't prove themselves wrong anymore, they know they're right. That's great when you want to have a absolute certainty in what you're doing. It's not so great when you're working on a very limited time scale for the survival of planet Earth. Oh well, no harm done. I'm sure we'll all be fine. And Jeremy Clarkson had a good laugh at climate environmentalists. I can't remember exactly what you used to call them, the mentalists, or something equally hilarious, while Richard the Hamster Hammond giggled along behind him. God help us all. But now, amongst the general public, despite the best efforts of a largely right-wing owned media, the general public are waking up to the fact that it's climate change. I just wonder, is Jeremy going to be looking at his last failed dry potato and still writing his hilarious articles about climate change being a fallacy of the woke brigade? No doubt that'll be before he writes another article about how people should be encouraged to throw excrement at Meghan Markle. All a bit of fun, just a bit of fun on Top Gear. So what do you think? What will it take for Jeremy Clarkson and his ilk to accept climate change? And will they ever accept climate change, or will we all slowly burn to death while people like Jeremy Clarkson boast gleefully about owning the libs? What a time to be alive.